Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 338. We have a Nations League coming up on Saturday for Mexico. We also have some off-season transfers and rumors. And also, we're going to break down an interview by Whatever Tomorrow. He interviewed Gerardo Arteaga. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the psyche of the Mexican abroad. But before I go any further, let me welcome Joel to the podcast. We're live on Twitter Spaces. How we doing, Joel?
Good, man, good. Yeah, I'm really interested about this, about the interview. I haven't had a chance to listening to it, so I'll be hearing it first time.
Yeah, the interview by the YouTuber. I've always known him as like Whatever Tomorrow. He was he was like one of the early YouTubers, and yeah, he's been getting more into like Liga MX and Mexican players. And he interviewed Gerardo Arteaga. It was like about a 30-minute interview. It's on his YouTube channel. And I listened to it, man, and I was pretty shocked with what Gerardo had to say about what he went through, having to go abroad and stuff. So pretty.
Yeah, every now and then we get some of these interviews, and it's candid interviews. Players open up, and you kind of get a good sense of you get to see the other side of them, because we're just used to seeing on the field, but then you see some of the stuff they go through, and then it's easier to understand why they make certain decisions and whatnot.
Yeah, I think we have a tendency to forget that they are human beings. They're not just like athletes and robots. But for those that didn't watch it or just want like the cliff notes, Gerardo Arteaga, he said that he didn't know English, and they said that they had already sold him. He had nothing to say in the matter. He was already sold to Genk, and
Where was he playing?
he was playing for Santos, if I'm not mistaken, in Torreon.
All right, Grupo Legi.
And
they slanged him. Showed up one day to the club, and it's like, you're sold.
And like when I think about him in Liga MX, I mean, he wasn't there for much for too long. He made his debut in 2016, and he played for Santos for like 4 years, and then he got the transfer to Belgium. But he said that he had a really hard transition, not knowing English. He said his agent had told him before, like, hey, you should probably learn to speak English. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't really care. He gets to Belgium, and apart from his driver, his chauffeur, he didn't really have anybody else that spoke Spanish. And he said that in Belgium, and I can attest to this, like depending on what region you're in, they speak more French, they speak Flemish, they speak English. So it's like they speak like 3 languages, and if you don't know any of those, then you're pretty much shit out of luck. And he was saying that he made this transfer in 2020, obviously COVID. He couldn't bring anybody with him, not even his like girlfriends. So he was basically just going to training and then going home. And he said that he wouldn't leave the house. He would just watch videos and play video games, and he wouldn't even go like outside and explore the city. And he said like he would go to the grocery store and get all nervous because he didn't know how to communicate, and like he just had a really hard time adjusting to Belgium. And he said that he went through like depression.
Do you know how old he was when he left?
He's born in 98. So he left 2020. I don't know. What is that, like 20? I don't know. I have no idea, dude.
He left in 2020
Yeah, he left in 2020, so he was
or
like,
22, like 20. Yeah, young, but yeah, it shows like how some of these guys, um, kind of their upbringing. And some of them they were very poor, so they didn't experience much. They just were sort of just their home, and then they became ball players, and then that was it. Um, and then some of them, I don't know how he went through the whole thing, but some of them probably didn't even have to travel much, because you have players that they would have to take buses, take like a 2 hour ride or whatnot, because they would live in really small towns,
uh,
so they would have to take long rides to go to the to go practice, to do their club stuff, and then return. Some of them would have to stay like in another city, and so then you're doing that at a younger age, and it's sort of like, helps you develop a bit, um, and I've seen, I think it's Ronaldo. He couldn't afford the bus fare, and so the club, I think it was Flamengo, I don't remember, they let him go because they wouldn't pay for his bus.
oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, you have stuff like, I forgot which player it was. I don't know if it was some Argentine guy. He said he had to take like a 3 hour ride just to get to the training camp.
I believe it, especially like in those like ranchitos or whatever.
Yeah. Ranchos Burreros, where the bus, yeah, it's all packed. I've actually been on those buses.
Yeah.
People go in and they have check-ins, and
Um,
they're,
he also mentioned like so. I think his best stint when he was playing for Genk was when he was finally able to get his girlfriend to come visit him, and he had her for 3 months until her visa expired. She had to go back to Mexico, and he said like that was like the best time of his life, his best performances for his club.
uh,
And then he said that as soon as she left, like he went right back into a depression, and he said that the Olympics he really really wanted to go, but it was gonna be like 2 years without him seeing his family because he hadn't seen his family. He hadn't gone back to Mexico since he left. And he said that, um, Jimmy Lozano said, hey, like, you got to make your decision in the morning. Like, are you going to go to Japan or not? And he said, like, if he was going to go to Japan, like, he wouldn't have been able to, like, take vacation. And, like, he would have, gone like 2 years without seeing his family. And he said that he probably wasn't in the right mindset to, like, even, perform because he was so depressed. And he said that he talked to his club and asked them like, "Hey, if I don't go to the Olympics, can you guys give me like a vacation, or do I have to join your preseason?" And they said, "No, like take some time off. We want you to be in like mentally in a good place."
yeah,
So as soon as his club gave him permission, he told Jimmy like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go to the Olympics," and he ended up going back to Mexico and just taking the time he needed. So
did they ask him if he learned English by now?
I don't think he's learned English, man.
He still has, he hasn't learned. Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one thing where, was it last year? I, but it was the Hans Westerhoff, and he was a bit critical about the youth in Mexico and how they lacked that professionalism. Of course, he wasn't talking about all of them, but he said how they won't learn English, or a lot of times they won't even ask the coach, like, how can I improve? Do you remember that interview?
No.
Because he talked about one of the Chivas, and he was Chivas, one of the players. I don't know if it was Reynoso. I think it was Reynoso that he was asking him like what he needed to do to get into the starting 11, and Hans was like, "Yeah, there's not much you could do. You're too slow." And he said that dude would show up early and leave late, and just working on getting his speed up. And he said how his type of attitude he had, that the player went on to have a decent career. He got to even play selección, um, and that's something that lacks, I guess, with a lot of these players, where they don't do those extra steps.
Yeah, so I'm like listening to his story and like understanding that it's not an easy transition going from like everything and all the people and the language and the culture and then going to a completely different atmosphere and like it's crazy. It is a culture shock. At the same time, like I'm really disappointed that he didn't cuz like a club doesn't want you to like fail, and I feel like he should have like used the resources available to him, like maybe getting some therapy or maybe making friends with his teammates, cuz it sounds like he doesn't have anybody on the team that he's like friends with. And like I'm like, dude, like get a dog, like do something. Like you can't just be like going to training and then going home and then just like playing video games all day. Like, dude, you're gonna go crazy doing that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't.
and it's the language. Not if he would have learned, that's something he could have done. Take some classes, um, and depending what is the predominant language, it could be what is it, French? You said French or Dutch,
Uh,
depending on the part of Belgium,
French,
because
Flemish is like their
it's like,
language, and then
yeah, it's like Dutch.
English.
Oh, and yeah, Flemish I think is the one that's similar to Dutch. Um, so yeah, you could go and just take classes, and you meet people like that as well. You make friends.
hundred
Um,
percent.
I do think you see the difference. I don't know if you saw this video that was posted a while back. It was with Zlatan. I think Milan had just won the. I don't know if it was a Scudetto, and he's speaking in Italian.
Yeah,
I mean, this dude is one of those players that doesn't even need to learn. He's just because he's an exceptional talent, and he's speaking fluent Italian, and this dude speaks English and he'll speak Spanish too, man. And that's all from him. That's him taking those extra steps to improve.
like look, I was out there. I went backpacking. I went to Belgium. I went to Brussels, the capital, and then I went to Bruges. And like yeah, it is true. Like if you don't know English, you're kind of like shit out of luck. But um, I still made an effort to like go out and like explore the city, and they had like really cool like museums, and honestly, just like walking around the city, it's just like really different. And like it's like I don't know, it's like a new place. It's like exciting, and another thing too that like people don't understand here that live in the States is like how small Europe is. Like these countries are so small. Like you can go through Belgium into the Netherlands and it only takes like an hour or two depending on where you're at. Like you can go like to France, you can go to like Italy, like all on a train ride. Like it really doesn't take that much to like explore Europe. So like I don't know, I just feel like he was just being like a little like hermit crab, didn't want to like get out of his
Well,
shell.
I think it goes to their upbringing, and some of these guys, they're just not used to it. It's very alien for them. Especially if they come from small towns where they knew everyone since they were kids. Um, we had the story of Carlos Salcido, when he got to Holland, and he said, he was just at the airport and he was already, because he didn't see the club rep, he was already thinking of coming back. He had only been there, what, like an hour maybe? And he's like, you know, I'm headed back home. And he even said that for like a while he would just eat, I think he would just go to the McDonald's to eat. And like,
Get a Big Mac.
but I do think he's one of those that he eventually overcame a lot of that stuff. He went on, you know,
And he
to do
was
really
and he was
well.
one of the first. Like this was before Mexicans were going abroad. Like it wasn't the norm. You had like Borghetti who went to like Bolton, And then you had like Salcido, like you didn't really have too many Mexicans like going out there and being like a trailblazer, you know?
Well, it was just few and far apart. Players that would go, and it was like every every so often. So yeah, but he was definitely one of the ones that went, and not only he managed to stay and have a good career.
Yeah. Highly recommend watching that interview or listening to it. I do give him props for being vulnerable and being open and saying, "Hey, yeah, I went through depression, and this is why I didn't go to the Olympics." Because he didn't tell anybody why he didn't go to the Olympics, and then after that, he got kind of snubbed from the national team for a while. So I'm glad that he's back. Um, another,
And that could be part of the snubbing if they feel that you're not there mentally. That could be part of it too. Where it's like they just feel you're lacking that aspect of,
yeah,
of your game, because it's not just always you know just the football skill. It also comes to your personality and whatnot. you know Players que se van a arrugar, or they'll just lose confidence really quick. Those are things that they take into consideration. It reminds me of this quote from Jorge Valdano, and he was talking about how so he was striker for Argentina, played at Real Madrid. And he was talking about how they were going to face Germany, and he said he was with some of the Argentine players that were watching the German team play, and he said it was just really huge athletic dudes, and how a lot of those players at RGs are watching them, and they're like they're getting intimidated. And he says Menotti was there, and Menotti's like, "Hey, you're scared of these punks." He's like, "You guys came from really tough neighborhoods. I bet they wouldn't last a day there." And that's part of the psychological stuff. Um, but stuff like that does happen where even though they are professional, they could still get intimidated, or they could still lose confidence, and we see it happen a lot of times. But like, we rarely get these type of interviews where we could know that that's one of the reasons.
yeah. My final observations on the interview and basically confirmed some of the assumptions I have of the Mexican player overall is number one, like we're very coddled. Like we like to be in our comfort zone. And number two is like these guys are not taking their careers like their professional careers like seriously because like if you do have ambition and you do have like you want to go and play it abroad, you're gonna have to learn English. And also like you
Yeah.
should just know English just to if you're a footballer, like come on man, like so many doors,
Yeah.
so
Well,
much.
well, Jaime, look, one of the reasons, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just that Liga MX pays well enough that a lot of these players, even if they don't make it big, they've earned enough money where they already have comfortable. They're very comfortable lifestyle. Probably already bought a house, a couple cars.
Right. No, yeah,
They,
yeah, for sure. Like they get paid. Like there is no reason for the Mexican player to go abroad. Like if you understand, like if you see it from their eyes and their perspective, like
yeah,
they have everything there. They have the people, they have the fans, they have the culture. They're getting paid really, really well. They don't necessarily have to go abroad. Going abroad is more like just if you want to like be the best or be part
yeah.
of the best.
Or
Um,
improve your game.
yeah,
Because it helps, as we've been talking about, builds your character, makes you stronger, could give you more confidence. I do think it helps in those ways. Uh, just just taking that challenge, and I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna add it there because I know we saw some of the pictures that were being posted. It was like from some African leagues, and it was like player of the match, and then the dude would have like
would they
a
give him
gallon of
like yogurt?
yeah, a gallon of milk. One of them had some shoes. like prices that don't seem that someone from first division would be earning. But I mean, that guy that's getting his 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 jug of yogurt when he's in Europe, he's killing. He's not killing it, but he's giving it 120 because he wants to make some real money, and because he hasn't you know they haven't had it yet.
Yeah.
Well, the other player is the opposite. Guy he's already renting his condo back home. He's, he's, he already has everything. He doesn't really need much. So that's that's where some of the it can make it difficult for some of the motivation, and some of these guys will just kind of give up, like we saw with Aquino, right? They sent him to Rayo Vallecano. He's having a difficult time. Can't break into the first team. Uh, for some of the games, they didn't even take him to the bench. So his family came to visit, and it was like an away game, and this guy left with his family to go sightseeing, and the club ended up finding him because they needed to give him permission if he was to leave.
Yeah.
But I
Uh
mean, it kind of goes with what you're saying about Arteaga and his girlfriend coming over and whatnot. And they needed that comfort.
yeah. Yeah, but like so my number one, like they're just lazy, bro. Like, come on, man. You get
No,
paid to play. Look. I'm just being like, cause like, look, this is the way I see it. It's like you have no stresses in your life. Like you are gonna be financially taken care of. All you have to do is like train hard, be disciplined when it comes to like doing the physical training outside of like what he said that in Belgium, what he noticed is that the standards and the expectations are like cranked way the high up, and like they have to stay in the facilities for like a minimum like an hour and a half after training to do like physical training and to like eat food before they leave. And like he was making it sound like that's a pain in the ass, and like, dude, like this is your only job, bro. Like you're getting paid to work out and like eat clean, and you're over here complaining and like depressed. Like, dude, get fucked, bro. Like,
it's taken from his FIFA career mode.
and
It's
and and
taken me.
and dude, I'm just like, bro, like, you see, and then so like it just confirms a lot of the assumptions I have about the mentality and the mindset of the Mexican. Like they don't take their career like seriously. They don't see themselves like. I just feel like if you have nothing to hold you back, like why wouldn't you want to like put yourself in a position to succeed, which means
Yeah,
like hitting the books, learning English. Like number one, you got to learn it. Number two is like taking your training and your regimen and your diet seriously, and they're not doing that. And then we finally have like a handful of players that somehow make it to Europe. They land and they're like, I don't like it. I'm gonna go back home because I miss my girlfriend. Like, dude, like, are you kidding me? Like, people would kill to be in your shoes, man.
yeah.
You gotta
I would,
man up. Be a
yeah,
man. Do the right thing.
yeah, I would split it into comfort, and it's difficult at that point once you already uh, are very comfortable to have that extra motivation. Reminds me of a quote from Batistuta. Uh, he was being interviewed, and I think he said he had two sons, or they asked him about his sons, and he said, "Do you see them playing soccer?" And he shook his head. He hadn't even said no. He kind of shakes his head, and the interview's like, "Why don't you think that they're gonna make it?" And he's like, "They don't know what it's like to be hungry." And
Mm,
it was like, that's some of it where you need that motivation. Um, Not everyone, because there are players that grew up, Kaká, for example, he was well off, and he became professional footballer, and he was one of the best. You know, he ended up playing with Real Madrid, and just overall, I think he won the. I think he was the last player to win what is it? The FIFA. or was it the Euro before Messi and Ronaldo just
The Golden Boot,
dominated it?
the Player of the Year,
Yeah, he won one of those big awards, and he was
Balón de
like the
Oro.
last. And then those, yeah, I think that's the one. And then those other dudes just took over for like 10 years or more. Just, just you know, they weren't sharing. Um,
It's yeah.
Ken Macias is the other guy who he grew up. He had a more comfortable lifestyle, and he's managed to stay, uh, have a still career pretty relevant. He didn't go abroad, but I bet you he still has the mindset to return.
We have Super Elbow Drop joining us on the Twitter Spaces.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Good, sir.
Joel's making excuses for Mexican players again. And those aren't my words. Those are Ricardo over there on the YouTube chat.
Damn, nah, it's the reality, man. It's it's what because this also happens to a lot of players from like Argentina, Brazil, and other countries. They go play abroad. We just don't hear about them, and they send so many. They send like hundreds of players a year, so you don't hear all these stories. Because there's thousands of clubs up there. We, we always talk about the same five, but there's so many players that go all over the world, and it's a pretty common thing that happens. Um,
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to listen to the interview, but I know that this is a subject that I know with Joel, it's come up, over the years, right? And yeah, I'm going to
yeah,
be
from,
honest.
from, from just really quick with us,
Yeah.
because throughout the years we have heard similar candid interviews. Salcido, Rafa Marquez is one where when he went to Monaco, and I think that he got married right away. He married a girl just so that I kind of always felt it was like so he wouldn't be alone. Um, and so this is just the latest one where we get that sneak peek into the players' lives.
Well, and I do think that you're right with there is that comfort with being at home, right? These guys, by the time they're 22, 23 years old, the ones that are playing at a good level in Mexican league, have a good salary, so they're going to be comfortable and not really want to take that risk. And when they do, they've gone out of their comfort zone. I can tell you from my own experience, and I didn't move that far away from where I grew up. I'm only like 35 miles or whatever. But I went from a neighborhood that was predominantly Mexican, where I could go around the corner and buy my Mexican, products.
The gancitos are in the freezer.
My gancitos, my tortillas, my
Pingüinos, fabuloso.
bubulu or whatever.
Yeah, bubulu.
And you get your panaderia and everything like that. And I moved to a town that's predominantly white, and I have to go out of my way to go find a Mexican grocery store or good Mexican food. I have to at times I go over by where Jaime lives to go find something that's halfway decent. But I think that does become a little bit of a problem. Also, let's be honest. Mexican kids in particular, the men get really coddled by their mother, right? Mijo, yo te lavo los calzones, right? I mean,
it's true.
Hey, Mom, did you hear that?
Right. So I think that really does pose a problem for the Mexican player. We're not very good at going out of our comfort zone. There's very few of us, right? Macias, like you said, didn't give a crap. He's going to go try to be one of the best. Didn't work out for him, but it's still on his list, right?
Yes.
But no, I think culturally, I think we are coddled some, and we're not willing to take that jump to try to be the best or elite or anything like that. We prefer the easy money and to stay home and
yeah, because
be comfortable.
like you said, a lot of these guys, if they're 22 and they've been, I would say 2 to 4 years in Liga MX,
Mm-hmm.
they made enough that I'm pretty sure they own property. They probably own an Oxxo. They got the nice car and whatnot. So that takes away from some of that motivation of saying, "No, I'm gonna buy my mom a house."
Right.
They already did. I mean, and this I think from I don't know if you guys ever saw like when Trophies was Flavor of the Month, and they were doing the interviews and they were showing where he used to live, and just looked pretty rough neighborhood.
Mhm.
And but by this point, they already had a house and whatnot, and that's a player that he has a lot of talent, but that just kind of seems to lack that extra motivation to want to improve or to.
Right. No, and I understand what Jaime is saying though too is, Jesus Christ, man, you guys are getting paid to play a
Guzmán no
game,
sale de
regardless
Pachuca.
of where
Ayer
you're
parece que
where you're
ustedes
playing.
Yep.
Take a goddamn risk, man. And what's it going to kill you to try to study a little bit of English or or more universal or something that that's gonna
Guzmán no
communicate
sale
with
de
the whole world,
Pachuca.
right?
Ayer parece
Go
que
learn
ustedes
German. Who gives a
parece
shit? Go learn something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you go through training, there's a lot of ESL classes.
Yeah.
Well, not
Yeah.
ESL, but what would it be? GSL, whatever it is.
ESL, right? No, take a risk, and again, this is one of the reasons. The way you guys are describing this Arteaga interview and all the other ones that we heard over the years, Joel. Right, this is the reason the Mexican player is, while they have a professional tag, they're not professional athletes. They don't act like it. They
Absolutely
don't act
not.
like it.
And we are generalizing because we've had other players like Hugo Sanchez, and
And
this dude just had like bolts of steel, and he didn't care,
Mhm.
And but when he went to Spain, he had already gone. I think he played in San Diego. He would like play in the off season. I think he played with the San Diego Sockers, or
San Diego Soccer's indoor, no?
I'm not sure, man. I'm not that old, but I am old enough. I forget. But I'll ask Wikipedia. But I know he would go play. I don't know if it was. I don't know. I think they used to be NASL, so not indoor, but it was like MLS or back in the days.
It was an indoor soccer team.
No, it became one though. I think.
No.
Okay.
After they folded, some of these became like indoor. But I know he had played, so he had already kind of gone abroad, and I think he had that mentality because we were talking about like why some of these players they come from small towns and they just like that experience or references. Hugo was living like in Mex City. He went to school. He had right. He's a dentist. He learned how to. He has a degree in that, and his sister, I believe, was an Olympian. I don't know if she went to the Olympics or she was like trialist, but those are all references that help shape you.
parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao,
Le
no tiene
ganes,
Chivas para pagarme a
Tigres.
Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en
Yeah, but
Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca.
Chivas
Ayer
don't even
parece
buy
que ustedes,
players. We're too
parece
broke.
que
We're
Chivas lo
bringing
transmite
players from
Fox,
our
cabrón.
cantera, so it's like,
¿Eh?
what bubble are we creating?
Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas...
It's not his fault. He's surrounded by bums.
No, no, I agree. Machin's been solid, but Jimenez, oof. This is the one guy like.
Lo transmite Fox, cabrón.
I enjoy his
¿Eh?
style of play, but I also
Chingao,
think he's
no tiene
overrated
Chivas para pagarme a
because he's
Guzmán.
had, what,
Guzmán se
about
queda en Pachuca.
2 good
Guzmán no
seasons, 2.5
sale de
seasons?
Pachuca. Ayer parece que
Where
ustedes,
they-
parece que Chivas lo
Yeah.
transmite Fox,
And this is
cabrón.
abroad,
¿Eh?
abroad.
Chingao,
Abroad,
no tiene
what
Chivas para
happens in
pagarme a
Club
Guzmán.
Sudamérica
Guzmán se
doesn't-
queda en
we're
Pachuca.
not counting that, right?
Guzmán no sale de
But,
Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes,
Abroad, he's had
parece
2.5
que Chivas lo transmite
two and a half
Fox,
seasons,
cabrón.
guys.
¿Eh?
Raúl Jiménez had
Chingao,
like a-
no tiene Chivas para
had
pagarme a
like a
Guzmán. Guzmán se
decent-
queda
we're
en
talking about
Pachuca.
decent season in
Guzmán no
Benfica,
sale
and
de
that was, like, towards
Pachuca.
the end
Ayer parece que
of his
ustedes,
tenure there.
parece que Chivas lo
Yeah.
transmite
But,
Fox,
like,
cabrón.
he was a super
¿Eh?
sub there, and then
Chingao, no
obviously
tiene
at
Chivas para pagarme a
Wolves,
Guzmán.
like,
Guzmán
you
se
know,
queda
they
en
were
Pachuca.
promoted from the championship, like,
Guzmán
he
no
got every
sale de
start, and yeah, he
Pachuca.
had a really
Ayer
good
parece que
season.
ustedes,
Mhm.
parece que
And,
Chivas lo
up
transmite
until
Fox,
his injury, he
cabrón.
was having a great
¿Eh?
season, but
Chingao, no
let's
tiene
not
Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca.
Huh?
Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox,
Yeah.
cabrón.
That's not
¿Eh?
his fault.
Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca.
Can we, and, like,
Guzmán
look,
no
I'm
sale
just
de
gonna point,
Pachuca. Ayer parece
you
que
know,
ustedes,
point the elephant in the
parece que
room,
Chivas
but,
lo transmite Fox,
Raúl
cabrón.
for selección has
¿Eh?
done shit, dude. He
Chingao,
scores
no
his
tiene
goals from
Chivas para
penalty
pagarme a
kicks,
Guzmán. Guzmán se
and,
queda en
you know,
Pachuca.
the biggest thing he did was
Guzmán
that
no
chilena.
sale de
That's about it, bro.
Pachuca.
For the
Ayer
national
parece
team,
que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda
I'm
en
just saying,
Pachuca.
like, before his injury,
Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo
no, we're
transmite
not gonna
Fox,
get
cabrón.
Saldívar on the
¿Eh?
national team. I'm just saying,
Chingao,
like,
no
for
tiene Chivas para
the
pagarme a
player that he
Guzmán.
is and
Guzmán
for
se
how
queda en
well he was
Pachuca.
doing for
Guzmán
Wolves,
no sale
that
de
didn't really
Pachuca.
translate to the
Ayer
national
parece que
team.
ustedes,
And
parece
it's
que
like,
Chivas lo
you
transmite
kinda have to
Fox,
wonder, like,
cabrón.
what's going on
¿Eh?
there, you know? You have a
Chingao,
player
no
that's
tiene
way
Chivas
more
para pagarme a
talented than
Guzmán. Guzmán se
Chicharito.
queda en
Like,
Pachuca.
Chicharito doesn't even know how to pass the
Guzmán
ball
no
like
sale
that
de
dude.
Pachuca.
But
Ayer
this dude
parece que
has, like,
ustedes,
twice the amount of goals,
parece que
so,
Chivas
like,
lo
what the fuck,
transmite
man?
Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca.
Dude.
Guzmán no sale de Pachuca.
Chicharito's
Ayer
only
parece
gone
que
to
ustedes,
one Gold Cup
parece que
ever.
Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh?
Ala.
Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes, parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes,
Well, I mean,
parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh?
Huh?
He's running out of time. He's
Chingao, no
31
tiene
years
Chivas para
old.
pagarme a Guzmán.
Yeah.
Guzmán se
Yeah,
queda
so
en
he's probably
Pachuca.
like, all right, man.
Guzmán no sale de Pachuca.
When he
Ayer
got
parece
injured,
que
he was
ustedes,
peaking.
parece
Yeah.
que Chivas lo transmite
Yeah.
Fox,
Yeah,
cabrón.
And
but
those
¿Eh?
kind of injuries,
Chingao,
it
no tiene
makes
Chivas
you
para
think
pagarme a
twice
Guzmán.
when you go
Guzmán se
for
queda
a
en
challenge like
Pachuca.
that, like in the future,
Guzmán
right?
no
Like
sale
you're
de
gonna kind of hold
Pachuca.
back.
Ayer
Ricardo,
parece que
you see when he
ustedes,
used to go to
parece que
Chivas?
Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh?
Jimenez.
Chingao, no
He's
tiene
more,
Chivas para
he's
pagarme a
closer.
Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca. Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes,
So
pare-
I said we already sent you guys Oribe, right?
He'll be, he'll be at Tigres. He'll be at Tigres after the World Cup.
We
All right,
we needed
either way.
somebody to go get us coffee and stuff. That's why Oribe was there, man.
I have a sound clip to play real quick. It's from Jesus Martinez.
Good quality
Oh, boy.
stuff.
Guzmán no sale de Pachuca. Ayer parece que ustedes,
Oh,
parece que Chivas lo transmite Fox, cabrón. ¿Eh? Chingao, no tiene Chivas para pagarme a Guzmán. Guzmán se queda en Pachuca.
yeah. So all the rumors of Pocho Guzman
Guzmán no sale de
going to Chivas have been deflated. And you know, I was actually I was pretty entertained because all throughout the day on Twitter and on Instagram, these reporters, of course, talking out of their ass, were saying, "Oh yeah, he's so close to signing. In fact, he's already like at the grounds." And then Pocho was like, "That's not true, bro. I'm in New York getting married. Like this is all, these are all fake rumors." And you know, he said it a few times, like, "Yeah, I haven't had any approach from Chivas." So the hope of him going to Guadalajara, no chance.
I think the info leaked into this a bit of context on this audio clip, because there was a lot of like rumors that he was going to Chivas, or Chivas was gonna, you know, that was their and so this was what Andre Marin, and it seemed like it was like off, you know, it was like
Off the record, right?
Yes, off the record call that Marin ends up putting on his Twitter or just social media, and then he took it off because
He had to
Martinez
apologize.
Martinez probably called him and was like, "The fuck are you doing, man?" He knew what he was doing,
Avísame.
but I do think I do think there's interest. They probably did meet with the player or with the agent, and then that info got leaked, because they would have to meet and see, like, would you be interested in coming back? You know, like just to gauge what you know, how they're gonna go about this thing, because a lot of times that's what you do if you could
Me la pela.
meet with the player first.
Loret
and
de
then
Mola es
kinda
un pendejo.
put pressure.
¿En serio? No los ve nadie, güey.
The player would then
Nadie
start
ve
pushing
su
the club to sell them, because
¿Ya
one
estamos al
thing we
aire?
do know is he wants to go to the selección,
Avísenme.
and it's not happening at Pachuca, man.
Andaba yo diciendo maldición.
Ranchuca gets no love, and of course, if he's at Chivas, the spotlight would be on him, and then he wouldn't, you know, it would be more like a weekly thing where the other like the news outlets would be like, "Why isn't this guy there? Why isn't he there?" You know, as opposed to where he's now, where they'll mention it once and then just don't bring it up again.
Miguel Herrera negoció su llegada a la América pidiendo a cambio que tú te fueras de la América. Tan sencillo como eso.
Eres un estúpido.
I think
Perdóname.
Lo que te dije, lo que oíste.
Vamos a una pausa ya, hombre.
Miguel Herrera negoció su llegada a la América pidiendo a cambio que tú te fueras de la América.
And it doesn't seem like it's going to improve. So then if you're going into, well, it is a World Cup year. So, I mean, you want to be sitting in the bench, or do you want to be, you know, getting playing time and trying to, you know, get in that, because I do think he's a player with that talent that he could be with the selección, and then just allow him to leave again, if, you know, after the World Cup or after whatever.
It's always Daddy Chivas that have to bring these players in so they can get a second chance at la selección. You know, you look at what happened to Pulido. He was blacklisted. He goes to Chivas and he starts getting called up for the national team. I'm sure the same thing will happen to Alan Mozo.
Ironically, Pulido from Tigres.
Yeah, ironically.
From Tigres. That was a big gamble, man. 2 years abroad, 14 games in 2 years.
You know,
and they paid almost 20 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a player that might not even work out. That's all on Higuera. If he deserves credit on anything, it's on that Pulido move, man. That was a big gamble, and love him or hate him, that 12 star. It has his name on it, man.
Absolutely.
He helped win it.
And to add, it was against the team that blacklisted him.
Yeah.
Yeah, things do come
full circle.
And for the record, he has me blocked.
What?
I was the first here on Twitter to attack him, man, when he was at Chivas. I was always talking shit, and he blocked me.
Tan sencillo como eso.
Eres un estúpido.
Everyone was calling him Tío Higuera. I was the one talking shit, and he blocked me. Now I defend him a bit. Just a bit. I just give him credit where it's due.
Miguel Herrera negoció su llegada a la América pidiendo a cambio que tú te fueras de la América. Tan sencillo como eso.
Eres un estúpido.
Is that what you told him?
I forgot, man.
Yeah. So with obviously Pocho Guzman completely out of, he's no longer in the picture. Realistically, would you consider this a off-season failure if Chivas failed to sign at least one more refuerzo?
Yes.
I saw something on, might have been the Azteca Twitter feed, that Chivas is looking for a striker, but who the hell is out there?
Yeah.
Pulido, Chicharo.
Yeah, the usual suspects, Pizarro, Pulido, Chicharo.
No, Pizarro? Well, I mean, if he wants to come back.
You also have Henry Martin. One player that I'm surprised that Chivas haven't gone for is Lalo Aguirre. I think he would have been a good fit. He's a young player.
Why don't you guys go for Julio Furch now that you guys are accepting naturalizados on the Chivas?
What naturalizado they have?
That's the Pocho's.
You're talking about Mexican Americans, but not.
No. There's a Guatemalan national on the Chivas team.
No, they don't let. If you're at Chivas, you can't play in
any other selección. Yeah.
You can. On the female team, there's a Guatemalan.
Oh my God.
No.
Is that even a real sport? Come on, man.
So now,
if it was, they let him go, because it's kind of happened with some of the players that were, at least for the youth,
yeah,
scouted by the U.S.
She was lifting the trophy in the women's champ in the.
Bro, that's feminine, bro. We're not talking about that. We're talking about.
Oh, he's making the. Hey, man, that's a lot to know. That's a lot to know for a team you don't like.
All the Chivas, it's all the Chivas propaganda machine is all over the place.
Ricardo's hate for Chivas.
Show me on this doll where they hurt you. Where did he touch you? I want to know where the bad man touched you.
The concentration camp.
This guy went feminine, man.
Chivas promotes it reaches all over, man. You can't deny that. Chivas is all over the place.
Yeah, well, we are the biggest club in Mexico, so kind of comes with the territory.
The biggest club with most championships, right?
Yeah.
América es el más grande.
I will say I'm very disappointed with Orbelín Pineda. He decided to basically expire his contract, run it down, and immediately you get blacklisted by any team within Mexico. And, he did secure his move abroad, but at what cost? You saw the same thing happen in Macias. You go abroad, you get no minutes. You just took a huge setback in your career, especially during a World Cup year. Now Daddy Chivas has to bail you out. And
you know what? With this blacklisting thing, I don't know how much I believe in that. Torrado did something similar. I think he was at Pumas at the time, but he let his contract run out, and then he left to Sevilla. Was it Torrado? Man, I'm going pretty far
Yeah,
back.
that was Torrado.
Yeah, and
I think he did go to Sevilla right after that.
And then he had problems at Sevilla because then they froze him for like a year, and he came to Cruz Azul. But when you do something like that, I don't think you're blacklisted. It just means that they do have like the Pacto de Caballeros. So it means if you come back to Mexico, you're not free. You're not a free transfer. Whatever club buy you, still gonna have to pay the club you were at. So it does depend. Like the club you left, are they gonna be willing to negotiate, or are they just gonna, sort of like be a dick about it and not, just make it difficult where no one's gonna touch you at that point.
Wikipedia
But then
says
that wouldn't be the whole league; it would just be that one club.
Wikipedia says he went from Pumas to Tenerife and then Poli Ejido and then Sevilla.
There you go.
Wow.
He was doing so good in Sevilla. I don't know what happened.
Injury.
And then they froze him. Yeah, but something else happened. I don't know if it had to do with a contract.
It just said his injury left him out for almost a season. That probably did it.
Because he returned to Cruz Azul, and they paid him a lot of money when he came back.
It said
he went to Racing de Santander after that.
He went to Racing, did not have a chance to play because he had differences with the coach. Eventually forced to return to Mexico. Wow, where have I heard that story before?
I was mixing those two things. Yeah, that's a long time ago, though, man.
Well, it came back in 2005, so that means he came back to be able to play in the World Cup.
Yeah,
for 06.
But that first season in Sevilla, dude, he had some games. I don't think no one made those YouTube videos, but if you could see him playing back then, he looked like a beast.
Having said all that, well, if he wasn't to go to Europe, where would you guys? I mean, back to Jaime's point, like if he wouldn't have gone to Europe, where would he have gone then?
Who?
I mean, Orbelin. I mean.
Oh yeah.
And his time at Cruz Azul was up and down at around the.
He won a chip with them, didn't he?
Yeah, he won.
He did.
He won a chip with both.
I think it was because he was going to Europe that he did what he did. Because some of these Euro teams are shady like that. The way Olympiacos negotiated with Pulido and he ended up going. And I know this was very similar. And some of these players, sometimes they seem a bit desperate to go abroad. And I feel like they don't go about it the right way. And if a club doesn't invest in you,
Miguel Herrera negoció su llegada a la América pidiendo a cambio que tú te fueras de la América. Tan sencillo como eso.
Like Atletico, they paid what, 25 million for Jimenez, so they weren't just going to lose that investment. They had to make sure that he was still going to, be of use somehow, which is how he ends up in Benfica. But had he gone on a free transfer, he would have been at Tigres after that first season.
And I would have to disagree with you, Jaime, when you compared Orbelin and Macias, their times in Europe, the way they left to Europe and how they came back. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Macias left to Europe because of what he did in León, not because of what he did in Chivas. He had Angel Mena passing to him, giving him crosses, Chapo Montes, and these other international starters that brought attention to him, and he went, and that got him to Getafe. Now, because of what he did in Chivas,
But even
I
like
disagree
Getafe, that
because
was
he was
Who
being
was that?
rumored. He was being rumored to like Borussia Dortmund. In fact, like the opening first episode of their All or Nothing on Amazon Prime, they were showing like a clip of him at Leon, and they're like,
Leon.
open up the coffers, we're gonna get this guy. I don't know if they knew that he was on loan and how they had to go through Chivas, but I don't know what happened, how that deal fell through, but he went to the Getafe because he just had a really bad time at Chivas and like his stock went like really really low. And
So that fell through because of the price tag on his cláusula.
probably I can't imagine what Chivas asked for.
What was it? Was it 17, 14 or 17 million or something?
It was probably a lot of money. Yeah, it was probably like 15.
Yeah, so for a European team, maybe they just go get a couple Argentines, like about 3 Argentines for that price, right? So,
well,
goes back to my bubble point that Chivas created.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
it's more of the whole league than just Chivas.
Is it Chivas' fault for asking for that much money when they know they can get that within Mexico? It's not their fault. Supply and demand.
Not only that, but that's how much he's worth for the club.
You're right. I don't disagree with you guys, but then at the same time, they're saying, "Oh, we got the Chivas tax," and they overprice it to us. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but this was a player that was. He was always gonna leave, like, so you can't really blame the club because Chivas has shown that they have a willingness to let players go abroad, and we could mention other players we already mentioned, and they never sold all those players for exaggerated amounts. Even Chicha, they sold him very cheap. He was bargain bin by EPL standards. They almost send him for free, man. So that's one thing you could say about Chivas, where they've always been willing to negotiate the players, and I don't think they've ever like done something where they like put a high price tag just to keep him out. The high price tag was for Leon because he went on loan with the cláusula, like a release clause, and that was like 15 because they knew like, all right, they're not gonna pay it. It's Grupo Pachuca, they're not gonna pay this amount, and they didn't. So that was kind of like their whole safety, That way, if it does good or whatever, he comes back. And when he did come back, of course, they guaranteed him the whole, if you get an offer, we'll facilitate it. And it was a weak offer. Getafe, they're not going to pay. They weren't going to pay good money. So that's the other thing. You don't want to leave as a player. Some of these clubs that they don't invest much in you, they're not going to give you much of a chance.
Isn't that like the biggest, most bonehead move, like dumb move you could ever? Like he must be kicking himself. Like,
I do think,
Why the hell would you leave Leon when you got Ángel Mena and all these guys passing you?
Because it was a loan. And
no, I heard that Leon was trying to buy him, but let's not forget, he came back around the same time where the Chivas spent all the money to get all those guys. So they thought they were going to win something.
Well, the whole thing was and I did hear that Leon, that some people were going to buy him. They were pulling the money together, a GoFundMe and whatnot. but I think that they were going to own like a
percentage of his future transfer.
Yes, so his contract was gonna be like Grupo Pachuca was gonna like own him for like
basically
for a long
like
time, man.
If they would have, so if like Leon would have bought him from Chivas, they would have went ahead and sold him to like the highest bidder, and they would have gotten a percentage of that. And like Chivas were not about to let that happen.
Well, this is not what affect Chivas. This would affect Macias, where he's now at the club's whim. And the way he's had more control over what he wants to do with his career. So it's very smart on his part.
Basically, he knew that if he wanted to go to Europe, the only way he was going to get there is if he returned to Chivas. Because they have a proven track record of sending players abroad.
No, but I do think he would have gone through Grupo Pachuca. He would have, but again, it would have been like they would have owned most of his contract, and then going into that club, I believe, if that club were to sell him, they were still getting, money from him. So I guess he felt they were just gonna own. They were gonna be the bigger winners. We saw something similar. There's one player from River Plate, right? He went to, I think, Atlanta, and it's the big reason he went because they paid. What happened?
Ezequiel Barco or whatever his name.
They paid like 15 million, but about 5 million went to him from the transfer.
Damn.
5 million. Some team in Europe wanted him, but they wanted to pay like under 10. He wasn't gonna get shit if he went over there, and so he didn't care because, dude, 5 million. He probably paid off all his family debts, bought a bodega. He secured his family, and he went where he was going to be able to secure his future, and he didn't care, but he was able to do something like that. I think Macias, if he went to Pachuca, he would have been like, it would have been them owning. They would pretty much own him,
But they would have put him in a better position to succeed.
Well, I mean, that depends. Succeed for Macias is different than what it is for you.
I'm not the one. He's the one saying that he wanted to go to Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? Not me. And you said it yourself. He was already well out before. He didn't need soccer. So which one is it? Does he want to succeed, or does he want to make a lot of money?
Well, I don't think it's about money. It's about
he just wanted control
over your career.
He wanted control over his contract. Yeah.
Yeah, in your career. Look at what happened to the dude Arteaga. We were just talking about him. Santos sold him. He had no say in it.
Yeah, no say.
The word, and it's like, dude, you're Queen of Belgium.
He showed up to training, and they're like, dude, you got to go now. Like, you can't train for us anymore. You're not our property. It was crazy.
Learn English. Hey, learn English.
Aquí está tu inglés sin barreras, güey.
His locker's already emptied.
Never gonna win anything with these players.
No, dude.
But they already won Confederaciones.
Back in the
under
90s.
Olympic gold.
The biggest triumph was the Olympic.
What about the Olympic? Yeah, the Olympic gold medal.
Youth tournament doesn't count. That's like when Chivas promotes a Copa MX. It doesn't exist anymore, man.
But look, they did reach two Copa America finals. So I would say they're pretty close to winning one of those.
I was just looking at Copa America and like how Mexico has been invited 10 times, and 5 out of those 10 times, they were on the, what do they call that? The platform. They got 3 third-place trophies and 2 runner-ups. That's not bad for a team that's not part of that confederation.
And some of those other times, CONCACAF sabotage.
Right.
Made them send the under 23.
And with teams with players primarily based in Mexico, right?
Yes, that's something we've always promoted here. The whole.
I always agreed with you, Joel, when you mentioned that, but that was back then. Right now, there is no Copa America. There is no Libertadores. So there's no point of them being together in Mexico with all these extranjeros, these coaches with tactics that you see like pub league coaches have. I mean, you got to try different things to succeed. We just can't have Mario Carrillo, Chelis, and these same guys with the same game plan all the time. Tuca parking the bus, never playing young kids. I mean,
yeah, job security in Mexico is real, dog.
That's what Mexico.
Ricardo, don't bring up Vucetich because you're gonna wrestle.
I'm a Vucetich believer. I like the guy.
I don't trust that guy.
So
he was debuting youth, for the record.
Mexico had a couple friendlies, lost to Uruguay pretty badly.
They got porked, Jaime. They didn't lose. They got porked.
And then and they weren't even going at full steam. Who they play? They played Ecuador on Sunday.
Ecuador, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
couldn't get a
Who was
result
that, a
there.
draw? Did they even score? Was it 0-0?
No, 0-0. And I saw a
Man.
statistic that really concerned me. The statistic is the top 5 players that Tata has called up to the national team. Number 1 in minutes is Jesus Gallardo with 3,343 minutes. He's his guy. We are fucked. The other 4, Edson Alvarez, Guillermo Ochoa, Nestor Araujo, and HH.
Well, yeah, some of those guys went down in form, but for a long time they were. Nestor Araujo for a long time, dude. He was just solid. HH at one point was regarded as the best national team player.
Not anymore.
I know, but just putting things into context. Those guys got those many games, and now it seems like, we see them now, and they're like, why they get so many games?
Assuming that we take 23 players, there's only 18 spots left, guys. And the chances of a great player that's like having a great season getting to the World Cup is probably unlikely. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling good about this World Cup.
Well, they are starting the season a little bit early, right? So if somebody heats up in the Mexican League, because let's face it, some of our European-based players are a little bit on the older side or just not in form, right? So if somebody heats up in the Mexican League, you never know, right?
Or HH in MLS.
I disagree, man. I mean, Tata has shown to ignore trends and stick with his guys. And I think that's just going to be the case.
And bad news for you, Jaime. Gerardo Torrado just said 4 more years for Tata, man. He could see him staying 4 more years.
I did see that where they're considering it, right?
It's just
but they also said that with Osorio, didn't they?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but that's
and he had an interview with Hercules Gomez and with his podcast or whatever, where he says he regrets not staying in Mexico for the other 4 years.
Oh, I bet, because his career tanked after that.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I love the fact that they're looking, like, long-term and, like, wanting to give a coach 8 years, because I think for the national team, I think you should give a guy 8 years. I just think it's the wrong guy. Like, this is not the answer. Like, I would have loved to give somebody else the opportunity to coach us for 8. I actually would have liked Osorio for another 4 years. But, like, not Tata, man. That guy he's like Vucetic, man. They're just bad. They're just bad coaches.
With them fighting words.
Who's really out there, player-wise or coach-wise, though?
Well, I think the problem is the Mexican fan with doing something like that, right? So when we had Osorio, too many substitutions, Juan Cambios, right? Now you got Tata who sticks with this guy. He doesn't make any changes, so
yeah, you go from one extreme to the other.
We're full of contradiction, man.
And like the game that he decided to use the same lineup, we got killed by Sweden. So it's like
we got ragdolled by Sweden.
Yeah.
But I think like
and we got porked against Chile 7-0.
I was at that game, man.
He should have been fired after that game.
Nah.
Yeah, he should have.
No, I think Osorio did. I think he did a great job. I know that's like might be a controversial opinion, but
Germany.
His numbers were good.
I think the way we qualified to the World Cup was less stressful. We didn't lose to the United States. We stopped conceding off set pieces. Like things were looking better than they were, and like now we've kind of fell into the same traps. Like I feel like we started losing against USA again. We started conceding goals from like the set pieces, and it's just obvious that like, although Tata had like an impressive like resume with the teams that he's coached, let's be honest, what has he accomplished? He hasn't accomplished shit, dude. Like he went to Barcelona, didn't win a fucking thing. And then like his best thing was with Paraguay, and like, dude, that was like we beat them with Paraguay with Hugo Sanchez.
Yeah, but people forget on that one that Nettie drew a red card right at the start of the game, so they played with 10, right? So not to say that Mexico wouldn't have won that, because Hugo had them nice and primed for that tournament. Mexico played very well, but I think that score is a little bit engañoso.
I don't care, man. All I know is Tata ain't the answer.
But still, Codazo, Paraguay's not a team. It's not a team that folds easily.
No, but again, you get off to a fast start, or you give up a PK and a red card right at the start of the game. Give up one goal. You're in a world of hurt right there.
There's that one thing I like about Hugo's team.
Yeah,
they would go for the kill, man, and I saw that when they put 7 against Chivas.
Who?
Pumas. He was coaching Pumas.
Oh, 7. That's right.
It was raining, I remember.
It was
raining goals, but his team was like that, and that team from Hugo was.
He did win a bicampeonato just like Atlas.
He did. Yep. That was the Mexican national team participation that scored the most goals in the Copa America. It sucks how he got kicked out. I would have liked to have seen the team him have played at the World Cup. But and then the coach they brought just shit the bed, which was Sven. He almost failed to qualify.
You know who they say was one of the main culprits to kick him out? Right?
You know it is. You know everything Chivas.
I'm just saying, because then you guys say I'm a Chivas hater, but isn't it the truth though?
I think you're just a closeted Chivas fan, bro. You can come out. It's all right.
I speak the truth, and I'm okay.
No, it's just like it's true. He doesn't seem to know a lot about Chivas. Like
I feel like it's like the same people that know everything about the men's national team, the U.S. men's national team. Like, bro, you know too much, bro. You've been watching the MLS, haven't you?
Compare me to a USA fan. Come on, those guys are dorks.
No, I'm talking about like Mexican Americans that like, look at what Pulisic did, and oh my God, like Serginho Dest, and oh my God, how are we gonna compete? I'm like, bro, just come out of the closet already. You're an ad fan.
They got the propaganda machine on TUDN. That's why.
Bro, these guys don't even speak English. I'm talking about these fans. They don't even understand it.
Well, those are pochos, so what do you expect, man?
Hey, Jaime, quit calling out Beto, Jaime. Quit calling out Beto.
Beto's still hiding. He's waiting for a favorable result.
I agree with you guys. Hugo is what we need. He's the only guy that actually, I know it's cliche, but he feels something he wants Mexico to win compared to these other guys.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Like, he wants Mexico to do good, and I know he always mentioned that every other big national team, any winning national team, they have a representative from their country. Like, you never see Brazil with extranjero, you never see Argentina with extranjero.
Pretty much every World Cup winner has had a coach from
their own country.
Yeah, from their own country.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're those countries, but I'm pretty sure Hugo cares if we win or not.
Yeah. Now Hugo got the reason Hugo got fired is his big mouth, but I'm one that thinks he should have gotten a second chance at some point, right?
I agree. No, I think
even when that Chepo era that started falling apart, they could have gone and beaten New Zealand with Hugo, and then who knows what would have happened then? But I think he should have gotten a second chance, man. And we talked about it on another podcast, guys. I am leaning these days towards, screw it. Let's get ourselves a Mexican-based national team, a Mexican League-based national team, and get that Mexican coach and see what the heck we can do. Right?
And that advantage at us.
Anybody but Piojo.
He's the main candidate.
What's up with TUDN putting Guillermo Almada up there? They're already talking about how he should be a replacement for Tata. I'm like, bro, makes no sense.
But if anyone has a little bit of Hugo in them, it is Piojo.
Bro, Piojo is no, he's not. We're gonna do worse under Piojo than we did with Tata. I'll tell you that right now.
Where, how
Man, we had
his
Netherlands on the
selection
run.
record was good.
We had Netherlands on the run.
No, he's not a good technical coach. I think he's a great cheerleader, and I know that he would be a great like players
Sometimes
coach.
you need that,
Yeah, but these guys are professionals, bro. And when you're down and you need like answers and tactics on how to like win, you can't just say, "Oh, just try harder, dale gas," or "échale huevos." Like you need an actual game plan, you know, and like
At the same time, I don't think there's a Mexican coach with tactics or a game plan. I think that's what we have to resort to.
yeah.
Jaime, Dick Chain is not ready, man.
Yes, he needs 2 more years.
What are you talking about? We have Michel Leaño. He's attainable right now. He doesn't have a job.
But Leaño
But he hasn't won the He hasn't won the Premier League yet.
That's right. He needs to
Oh,
win
you're
the Liga
right.
and the APL, and then.
And when he does it, he's gonna do it shirtless, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And I still think that dude was doing some massive cocaine before that interview. He went all hyped up, dude. He was, I want to win the Champions League. I just say he's going to win pretty much everything, dude.
that guy was on one for sure.
I'm all for that ambition, man. But that dude for sure was on something, man.
It was like you know those, and I told Jaime back then when the interview came out, this dude pretty much just put the noose around himself because he put these really high expectations now, and the media's gonna keep reminding him, and
oh, he's never gonna live that down, bro.
It was very similar to when Vergara said, "I'm gonna bring the best coach in the world," and then they hire Yayo de la Torre, and it just became a meme. And
we just signed our best player, the fans.
Damn.
Yeah. No, I've never had an issue with somebody having those ambitions. Like when they were baiting Hugo when La Volpe was in charge, right? He'd say, "If you want to win the World Cup, call me." I didn't have an issue with that. Somebody thinks they can do it. More power to them, right? To have that type of ambition and goal. I didn't have an issue when Chicharito said, "Imaginarnos cosas chingonas," right? I didn't have an issue with that. But Leaño, man, that brother was.
Yeah, the way he said it.
And I know you guys are gonna call me a hater, but how Bush League is it that this hijo de papi, this fresa guy, just came out of nowhere and they gave him the keys to one of the biggest clubs in Mexico? How Bush League is that?
That's the biggest. Correction, the biggest.
No, it wasn't out of nowhere.
It is out of nowhere.
You're making me now be on the Leaño train. I don't want to. He was first because his family. So he was always involved in football. So he was always like there. Well, but hold on, he was right there at Tecos, He was Menotti's chauffeur. Got to, pick his brain. But back when they had the Grupo Cruyff, when they brought the Grupo Cruyff to Chivas, he was part of that. He was part of that group. It was mostly the Dutch, but he was he was in there, man. So he's been well connected and he's managed to do stuff. And he had coached Necaxa, so it wasn't exactly just out of nowhere. He had been doing stuff and working a lot. I just think the way he went about it, where he just sort of had the club fire a coach that was on a 5-game undefeated streak, and they fire him, and is that the way he came in and then doing his speech about I'm going to win it all. That's what ended up, that's what ended up doing him in. He was his own worst enemy.
Yep, that is the case. We're about an hour and a half in. Want to see what your closing thoughts are before we wrap up this episode. How are we feeling about Suriname on Saturday? Are we feeling confident?
I didn't even know they were playing. So did we even say the groups? Because this is League of Nations.
This is
Nations League.
Nations League.
Yeah. So it's who they have? Suriname,
I think Jamaica.
And I'm more interested in how Tena does with Guate. They already lost the game. My focus is on over there. I think Mexico will get those results. Just some of these teams are just pretty weak. I know they're playing the youth. That's pretty smart thing to do. I think that's one of the things in Tata's tenure that kind of gets ignored, and how he's worked closely with the youth side, and how he's brought in a lot of those players, like make sure to have given them exposure with the first team. And I do think eventually when they transition, it's going to be like smooth.
I don't see Guatemala in here, bro. They are.
No, they're playing not. What are they playing for?
They're in League B. I don't know how this works, but it says they're in League B. They obviously lost their first match, and then they won their second match.
Oh, they won.
So they're in a group with French Guiana, Dominican Republic, and Belize.
Yes, and we're talking about them because of Tena, and my hopes is that he becomes the first Mexican coach to take a national team that is in Mexico to the World Cup. We haven't had that, and I wanna knock that off that list for Mexico, man.
Guatemala, though.
Well, look. Canada, U.S. and Mex are not gonna participate in the next World Cup qualifying. So, and it's gonna be 3 spots. So I do think we might see a new contestant into the World Cup.
I don't think Tena's gonna last, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, but that's my hopes, though.
You guys are mentioning all this about the players not adapting, but these coaches don't adapt either, man. You hear Chelis, they're always interviewing this bald creep, and he's always talking about the same thing. Oh, no one wants to give me a chance. I knocked every.
Ooh, Chelis?
Yeah, that bald.
Oh, but this is Tena, man. He has a shiny gold medal. he should wear it even to sleep. I would never take that off.
Mention these guys, they don't want to learn English, man. They don't want to adapt, and that's why Mexican soccer sucks.
Then when they make the Guate players sleep in the floor at the airport, he was at the 5 stars, dude. He knows what's up. I'll see you lads in the morning. He's ordering room service. I think he'll do well, man. I do think he'll do well if si lo aguantan.
Chapines, I'm out. You guys can sleep on the floor.
He'll get fired by the next Gold Cup.
I think if they hold on to him, it's not like they have any better options. You know, if we look at the history of some of these national teams, they'll bring some washed up RG to try to like light a fire in their arse, and it really works. The Colombianos have been right now the trend, and they've done pretty good. But I do feel that if they give him a chance, I do think he can. Because that's like a good project to work, where you have a coach that's done well with youth, and if he could integrate that, you know, like 23, they have a project where maybe get them into a Youth World Cup or an Olympics, and
is
then
their base young?
Even
is Guatemala?
No, I haven't paid that much. We're working on bringing in a Chapin fan here to give us that info, because I do think that's a big possibility. Like we've never seen it. We've never seen a Mexican coaching a team at the World Cup. I mean, Bora wasn't born in Mexico. He's nationalized Mexican, and he coached like Nigeria, U.S., Costa Rica, Mexico, and China. But he's Serbian at the end of the day, you know. Well, I mean, that's where Yugoslavian. Colazo, is he
Yeah,
still alive?
Yugoslavia.
Yeah, don't exist anymore. It became Serbia, Montenegro, and then it's
Croatia.
I don't know what it is now, man. Huh? They're like a Liga.
Slovenia.
They're like a Liga MX team. They keep changing names.
Oh.
Like that country.
Wow.
They were Morelia, now they're Mazatlan and Veracruz.
Hey, did you guys mention that La Jaiba Bravas is disappearing? The team to La Paz or some city in Baja California. Wouldn't you say that's like not historic, but it's like a meaningful team?
Really?
It has history, doesn't it, Jorge?
I don't really know too much about them, but I do know that they want to put the teams into these markets where it's like, they're gonna try to do these cross promote because there's a youth league now that's between what was it, Jaime, USL or some of the US?
What's that?
That league they made for like in Mexico, and it's tied with the US.
Oh, the Leagues Cup.
No, it's like a league in Mexico.
The Premier?
It's run by also like a US. They're like linked up to like a US league.
Oh, it's destined to fail then if it's linked to the US.
I think it's more set up for youth and to develop youth, because I do think they're going to be bringing in more players to MLS from Mexico. I mean, they've always gone after Mexican players, so I do think that's part of it. And they're probably.
Oh, we lost Joel to the blender.
Expecting something like.
Oh, you're cutting in and out, Joel. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Did I lose everybody?
Hello? Yeah, I think you did, man.
Oh. Elbow. What happened?
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
I can hear Joel.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I think it's just the host. No, really quick, I'm gonna mention it. Like that company that wants to invest in Liga MX, right? They wanted to put I don't know how many billions and for the TV rights and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I do think they're expecting something to happen, some type of shakeup, and that's why you have some of these cross promotion leagues and whatnot happening, trying to get their foot in the door.
Elbow, what closing thoughts you got for us?
For Nations League?
Just for anything.
Suriname, man, is a difficult team. A lot of speed, height, great dribbling ability. No, I'm kidding, man. I don't know. I'm not that excited about the Nations League thing, but I assume we're going to send some younger players in on that. And so let's see if any of those stand out and catch the Técnico's eye, right? Because the main national team right now needs a spark, man. And I don't care where it comes from, but they need an actual spark to get them lit up. I think that's the only thing I'm really looking for from that tournament.
Yeah, there are some players that are on there that we'll see. We'll see if they get the opportunity. You have like Marcel Flores, obviously he's like the big draw here, but we'll see what happens.
Santi Jimenez, I guess, being the other one.
That's right.
I think he's on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's really all I'm looking for at this point, man. Because boy, some of those the guys on the main roster have to see some pine, man. Because they're ice cold.
Another thing that is gonna happen is they're actually gonna play in Mexico, so no games in the United States. They're actually playing. I think their game's gonna be in Torreon. Yeah, so the players called up for this: Cota, Acevedo, Ochoa, not Guillermo Ochoa, David Ochoa, the player that announced on the Tribune, I think, that he was going to switch nationalities. You have Eric Aguirre, Angulo, Alvarez, Araujo, Dominguez, Gallardo, Reyes, Antuna, Beltran, Chavez, Córdoba, Lainez, Romo, Pineda, Lira, Flores, Jimenez, Martin, Pizarro. Not sure what.
That guy Córdoba just disappeared off the face of the planet, man.
Yeah, what happened, bro? That was one of your gallos.
No, they sent him to Tigres. Before, whenever you're in America, you got the spotlight on you. Everything's magnified 10 times. At America, so they packed into Tigres, and equipo chico, so you're not gonna do anything there. He got exposed.
Yeah, I feel like after Lainez left, he was gonna be like the next one, and he I don't know what happened, man. He just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was actually gonna go to Chivas, but then he decided to go to Tigres because they're fighting for silverware was his claim. But he's been completely erased from the team.
They're saying he's going to Necaxa.
That'd be interesting.
With Jimmy
Lozano. That'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yo, if I get to see Evan Longoria, yeah, count me in.
And it might be something that he needs, right, to be out of the spotlight on one of the, I guess, the more noticed teams, right? Just to try to regain some of the confidence that he may have lost during all this time. So this might not be a bad thing for him. Just to be out of the spotlight.
Yep, like always, it's always the national team that has to bail some of these players out, man. They're not getting any minutes, and then, they go to Mexico and they get minutes. But I just feel like we shouldn't be calling up players that are getting no form, man. You gotta call players that are in rhythm.
You have to earn it.
Exactly. Alrighty, folks. Anything else you have for us before we sign out for the night?
Mexico's going to struggle.
As always.
Yep.
Nothing for me, man. Thanks, guys. This was fun again. Ricardo, that was fun, man. I enjoyed the contra, being what do we call it when Beto likes to do? Go contrario, right?
Yeah.
Even
There's always one.